The village on Nkandla in KwaZulu-Natal has been a hive of activity this weekend as throngs of people flocked to the area to support former President Jacob Zuma. The Constitutional Court had given him up until today to hand himself over and start his 15-month prison sentence. But whether or not this will happen is now anyone's guess. Our politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa, is following the story for us from Nkandla and joins us now live. Nkandla, Sbu, a very good morning to you. Of course, interesting developments. We've been monitoring very closely outside Nkandla, the role of Amabutho. And the Sunday Independent, in fact, has a headline this morning that says, Nkandla bloodbath narrowly averted. It's quite telling of what could have happened.
Well, I don't know, Paul, what will happen, because there's nothing that suggests that what is playing out in Nkandla is over. I think it's just a different interpretation of what Zuma's approach to the Constitutional Court means. I think others take that to mean that because now he has applied for a rescission of his sentence, it automatically means that he will not be arrested, or he does not have to hand himself over by the end of today or arrested by the end of Wednesday. That is not the understanding that we have, given the different legal advice and legal opinion and the views of legal experts that we've spoken to. Remember that former president had made two applications, one to the local High Court, which is Pietermaritzburg High Court. Now, that was to ask the Pietermaritzburg High Court to stay his arrest or possible arrest on Wednesday. Now, that matter is still to be heard on Tuesday. And that call to the court was not to say he must not, that the Pietermaritzburg High Court must suspend his sentence. It was just to say that he wants the Pietermaritzburg High Court to ask to put the police at bay while he is appealing or applying to the Constitutional Court. Now, the Constitutional Court has granted him a hearing on the 12th of July, but still on Tuesday there will still be a hearing at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. If that court says they have no jurisdiction or that they will not grant that order, that his arrest be stayed, then it will mean that the police will have to act. But I thought that was important, Paul, to just clarify, because there's nothing that this is, there is nothing that the former president, now that the Constitutional Court will give him a hearing, that he does not have to go still appear before, or actually still make an application before the Pietermaritzburg High Court. That stays. But the reality is, I guess the talk of a possible bloodbath, obviously, it has to do with reading the mood around Nkandla and some of the people who have gathered around the former president, those who have coalesced around him, vowing to protect him to the bitter end. And it looks like also this is still his messaging. This is also what he also is saying, in that he is not willing to voluntarily hand himself over. Remember, there was the visit by that grouping known as Amabutho, who were led by the man popularly known as Mkiliji, who is the leader of Amabutho, recognized as the leader of Amabutho, Esilo Samazulu. Now, he had a meeting with them, and there were leaked videos with that emerged. And in that video, he makes it clear that he's not willing to go to jail because he does not believe he has done anything wrong. Obviously, those people are here in Nkandla, and so are those who identify themselves as MKMVA. And when I say identify themselves as MKMVA, that's because their status is disputed, and also the ANC-NEC has taken a decision to disband the MKMVA. So that gives you the kind of a picture around here. But I think more concerning, though, Mpo, is the fact that there's no policing. There's not even a single van patrolling the area. And I guess that has to do with perhaps the police not wanting to be seen to be agitating, given the volatility of the situation, Mpo.
Well, Sbu, I mean, it could be the case that the police don't want to be seen as agitating the situation, but now for the average South African, it seems as though the police just don't want to get involved. We know that Jacob Zuma is supposed to hand himself in today. Can you just clarify that application? If his sentence isn't stayed, does that mean that he will still have to hand himself in by the end of today, or else face arrest by Wednesday?
So the ruling of the Constitutional Court says he has until the end of today to hand himself over, failing which the police have 3 days to pick him up. Now, he has made it clear that he will not hand himself over, which means now the 3-day period kicks in. But there is an application that is before the Pietermaritzburg High Court on Tuesday that will be heard in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, where he is asking that court to tell the police not to come pick him up on Wednesday while he's still appealing, or either while he's still applying to the Constitutional Court to hear his case. Now, the Constitutional Court has granted that hearing, and in their order, in their notes that they came out yesterday, they did not say that their sentence is suspended. They did not say that whatever order they had made last week is suspended. All they said is that they will grant him a hearing on the 12th. Now, we do know that it is not unusual for sentenced offenders or prisoners or anyone who is sentenced to appeal while they're serving their sentence. There is no, unless if their bail is extended, which in this case there was no bail. So it is those kind of exceptional circumstances. But what we know for a fact is that the former president, we do not expect the former president to hand himself over to the police today. What we do expect, though, is that, as he has communicated, is that at around 2 p.m. today, his legal team will arrive at Nkandla to consult with him. And part of that consultation will inform his press conference. He will have a press conference at 6 p.m. in Nkandla, where he will perhaps give a way forward or give whatever strategy that they are adopting going forward, or even at the very least to tell us what his thinking is, because we have not heard from the former president directly since he was sentenced by the Constitutional Court. We have seen pictures of him with his daughter. We have heard from the spokesperson of the foundation. We have heard from his son, Edward, but not from him. So at 6 p.m. tonight, we will be bringing you that press conference live, where the former president will be speaking after also consulting with his lawyers. So that tells me, and all indications, and by his own utterances, he will not be at Nkandla police station anytime tonight.
So it's pretty clear that there have been astronomical efforts since Tuesday's Constitutional Court ruling to essentially buy the former president some time, as his legal team has tried to find loopholes. But you also speak about reading the mood in Nkandla. We've spoken about Amabuto, but we also know that he was flanked by, the show of force with people like suspended ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule coming out to say that he is also in support of the former president, speaking to the support base that the former president still enjoys, and the factional battles that are still at play.
Look, the support that we've seen, or the people have coalesced around the former president, are his normal, usual historical allies. The MKMVA, as led by Kebima Patswe and spoken for by Carl Niehaus, has always been supportive of the former president. And so is the ANC's suspended Secretary General, Ace Magashule. So it was not unexpected to see those people here. And yes, there are also some members of the ANC and some leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal who are supporting the former president, who have been seen in Nkandla, but also the leadership of the ANC in its chairperson, Sihle Zikalala, and also its secretary, Dumiseni Ntuli. Now, the appearance of those two particular leaders in Nkandla has to be contextualized as follows. They have always argued that they are members of the NEC, by virtue of their positions as provincial secretary and provincial chairperson respectively. And they respect NEC decisions, which is that those who are facing criminal charges in court should not expect members of the ANC or those who come to court to support them should not do that in the name of the ANC. But what these leaders have done, even with the court appearances of the former president in Pietermaritzburg, was to say that they are there to make sure that as